Karen Wells was the perfect mother, warm smile, PTA volunteer, always early for school pickups. But when her 10-year-old son Tommy vanished without a trace, the town rallied behind her, unaware that the darkest secret of all was hidden in her phone. What detectives uncovered shattered every illusion and revealed a horrifying truth no one saw coming. 10-year-old Tommy Wells vanished on a rainy Thursday afternoon in Bridgestone, a quiet suburban town where nothing ever seemed to go wrong. The storm had rolled in suddenly, scattering parents with umbrellas and children in raincoats across the sidewalks outside of Bridgestone Elementary. Tommy's mother, Karen Wells, reported that he never came home. She claimed he always walked the same path, never detoured, and was usually home by 3:30 p.m. When the clock struck 4 o'clock with no sign of him, she began calling neighbors, then the school, and finally the police. A missing child case was opened within hours. Flyers with Tommy's face, brown hair, green eyes, and a gap-toothed smile were quickly posted around town. Karen appeared shattered. She sat through interviews with tears rolling down her face, begging the community to help bring her son back. She organized search parties and brought coffee and sandwiches for the volunteers. She told reporters Tommy was a kind-hearted boy who loved reading and building Lego castles. To the outside world, Karen was a grieving, desperate mother, holding herself together by a thread. The community wrapped its arms around her. Local churches offered prayers. The school held an assembly in Tommy's honor. Still, there were no leads. Police reviewed security footage from the school and nearby houses. One camera showed Tommy leaving the school alone, walking into the foggy afternoon. No cars stopped near him. No one followed him. He simply disappeared somewhere between the last camera frame and his front door. Dogs picked up a faint scent trail that ended near a bus stop, but didn't match the route Karen said he took home. Still, nothing was found. Detectives began re-interviewing neighbors. One remembered seeing Karen's car parked a few blocks from the school around pickup time, which didn't fit her timeline. Another mentioned that Tommy had once said he didn't want to go home anymore. The statements were vague, and without evidence, they couldn't point fingers. But the police started to grow suspicious. They brought Karen in again. She wore the same tearful expression but grew visibly uncomfortable when asked about the timeline. She hesitated when asked if she had security cameras on her house. She claimed she had reset her phone recently and couldn't access her backup messages. When officers asked to examine her phone for any clues, she refused, saying she needed her privacy. That single moment set off an alarm. Officers filed a request for a digital search warrant. They believed the phone might hold Tommy's last messages or any clue as to where he could have gone. Karen stopped cooperating soon after. She canceled interviews and ignored calls. The media noticed, and the community began whispering. A week later, forensic specialists unlocked Karen's phone. The police expected messages or suspicious photos, but what they discovered went far deeper. It wasn't just about Tommy anymore. It was about what Karen was hiding. And as they opened file after file, they realized they weren't just looking at a missing child case, they were staring into something far darker. Karen's phone appeared normal at first glance. Dozens of text messages with other parents, appointments, reminders to buy milk or take Tommy to the dentist, photos of school plays, family dinners, birthday cakes. But the forensic team dug deeper, bypassing surface-level data and diving into hidden folders and deleted content. That's when things began to change. Beneath the layers of everyday life, they uncovered a hidden application disguised to look like a generic calculator. Inside, it revealed a vault of files, hundreds of photos, documents, voice notes, and journal entries that didn't match the Karen everyone thought they knew. One of the first alarming discoveries was a series of photos taken inside Karen's home, showing Tommy in unfamiliar clothing on the day he disappeared. In these images, the boy didn't look happy. His face was pale, and his eyes had a tired, almost defeated look. These photos were time-stamped just hours before she claimed he never came home. More disturbing was that Karen had deleted them. She had tried to erase any sign that Tommy was in the house that day. Then came the audio files. One, recorded at night, featured Karen whispering in the darkness, repeating the phrase, "He's not mine. He doesn't belong to me." Her voice was calm but cold, as though she were reciting a ritual. In another recording, she spoke in fragmented thoughts about breaking free and purifying herself. "This bond is a lie," she said. "It was never real. I'm almost ready." The most unsettling file was a video. It showed Karen standing in her bathroom mirror, dressed in a white robe, her hair unkempt. She stared into her reflection with glassy eyes and muttered about fulfilling the cycle and letting go. There was no emotion in her face, no tears, just silence and obsession. Investigators soon uncovered a folder named Cleanse Logs. It contained a series of dated journal entries that read more like the writings of someone trapped in a dangerous belief system. She described dreams where Tommy would disappear and she would feel light and unburdened. She wrote about a voice she began hearing after her divorce, one that told her she had been living a lie, and the only path forward was to release herself from false connections. The final log was dated the night before Tommy vanished. It read, "Tomorrow, the bond breaks. I'm ready for the final cleanse. No more fear, no more guilt, only truth." After reading that, detectives knew they were no longer dealing with a simple missing child case. They were looking into the unraveling mind of a woman who had meticulously planned something much darker. Karen was arrested that night, and her phone was locked into evidence. The digital trail she left behind told a story no one expected, the story of a mother not losing her child, but possibly choosing to erase him. The question now wasn't whether she was involved. It was how far she had gone and whether Tommy was still alive. After Karen's arrest, detectives focused on the final clue from her phone, a reference to an old farmhouse 60 miles outside Bridgestone. The property had once belonged to her aunt, long abandoned after her passing. Overgrown weeds swallowed the driveway, and broken windows stared out like hollow eyes. It was the kind of place most would overlook, except Karen had written about it in chilling detail, calling it her temple of truth. Officers entered with caution. The front door creaked open, revealing a stale, dusty interior filled with faded furniture and old family portraits. Nothing seemed out of place at first, but the deeper they searched, the more they noticed signs of recent activity. In the kitchen, a half-empty bottle of water sat on the counter. In the bathroom, a new bar of soap rested in the dish. Someone had been there recently. The basement door was locked from the outside with 2 rusted padlocks. When they were cut, a wave of cold, damp air hit the team as they stepped into the darkness below. The flashlight beams scanned the stone walls until they landed on something unexpected, a large chest freezer, sealed with layers of duct tape. On the outside, a sticky note was attached with one word, "Complete." When the tape was removed and the lid opened, the contents stunned the room into silence. Inside were several neatly folded pieces of children's clothing, a worn blanket with Tommy's name sewn in, and 3 unopened packs of fruit snacks, Tommy's favorite. There was no body, no blood, nothing overtly violent, but every detail suggested someone had lived there. Along one wall in the basement, officers found a section of the wall that sounded hollow when they tapped on it. Behind it was a hidden room. It was small and dark, with just a thin mattress on the floor. In one corner were some children's books, and on the walls were crayon drawings. The drawings looked messy and scared pictures of a house, a child, and a tall dark figure that looked like Karen. One of the drawings showed the child trapped inside a room, with red lines across the windows. Tests showed someone had been in the room recently. Hair, fingerprints, and bits of food all matched Tommy, but Tommy himself was not there. During questioning, Karen said nothing. She didn't explain anything. She only asked for her phone. When the police said no, she just stared at the wall, whispering random words. Investigators wondered if she had lost her mind, but her writings were too organized to be simple madness. The media quickly picked up the story. People were shocked. How could a woman known for school meetings and church events lock her own son in a basement and plan something so disturbing? But the proof kept coming. Karen's digital journal talked about letting go of the vessel and burying the last anchor. Police feared Tommy had been seriously hurt or worse. Still, without a body or a confession, they had no clear answers. Just more questions, and the terrible image of a hidden room made for a child in a decaying farmhouse. As they searched Karen's background, they found something even more disturbing. Her writings showed this wasn't a one-time breakdown. She had been part of an online group on the dark web called Severance. It was hidden behind layers of security, but inside, Karen had posted many messages under a fake name. In those posts, she talked about how being a parent was like being a prisoner, and how true freedom meant cutting ties even with your own children. She believed it was the only way to become spiritually pure. She wasn't the only one. Other users praised her. Police linked 2 of them to nearby towns where children had also gone missing. Their cases had gone cold, just like Tommy's. Authorities realized this was more than just one mother losing control. It was a small but dangerous group of parents who believed that letting go meant getting rid of their kids. Karen wasn't just reading their posts, she was giving advice. She even posted pictures of how she was preparing: empty rooms, packed bags, and notebooks labeled Liberation and Cleansing Day. None showed Tommy's face, but the dates matched the final weeks before he disappeared. The group wasn't based on religion or politics. It was an extreme belief system. They called themselves the Awakened, and Karen wrote that she felt reborn after taking the final step. Still, some of her journal entries showed doubt. One sentence stood out: "He looked at me and smiled. I almost stopped. Then the voice reminded me he's not real. He's a test." That told investigators she had second thoughts and that someone or something pushed her to continue. Experts studied her posts to find who created these ideas. They found someone called the Architect, who hadn't posted in months but had written a detailed guide on how to cut emotional ties by leaving your children behind. Karen didn't speak during her trial, not even when faced with the evidence. The farmhouse proved Tommy had been kept there. The forum showed what she believed, but without a body, the case remained stuck. Then one day, a tip came in. It was just 2 words and a set of GPS coordinates: "He's waiting." It was a rainy day, and the team followed the coordinates back to the farmhouse. But this time, they searched the woods behind it, an area they had avoided before because of flooding. After walking through thick trees and wet underbrush, they found an old wooden shed, nearly falling apart. Inside the shed, under some leaves, they found a hatch in the floor. It led to a narrow tunnel underground. The tunnel was cold and smelled of mold. At the end was a small room. There, lying in the corner, was Tommy Wells. He was alive. He was thin, weak, and had clearly been underground for a long time. He was taken to the hospital right away. Doctors said he had been given just enough food to survive. Mentally, he was shaken. He said days had blended together, and a voice had spoken to him through a vent, saying strange things about being cleansed and reborn. He said the voice was his mother's. When Karen was told Tommy had been found, she showed no emotion at all. Doctors said she understood reality but had no sense of right or wrong. She was able to stand trial. The court didn't take long. With all the proof: her phone, her writings, the hidden room. Karen Wells was sentenced to life in prison without parole. 2 other people from the online group were also arrested. The group's forum was shut down for good. Tommy was put into therapy. Slowly, he began to heal. One day, he drew a picture: a house, the sun in the sky, and a little boy standing outside, free at last. The biggest mystery remained: who sent the tip that led police to him? The message was untraceable. Some say it was a guilty member of the group. Others believe it was someone on the inside trying to help. Whoever it was, they saved a life and ended a nightmare that didn't come from strangers, but from the one person meant to protect him the most: his own mother.